Hello and welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. We have the Collegiate Chess League Spring 2026 Week 6 matchup here between two Division 1 teams, UT Dallas back again versus Lviv State University. And shout out to Camel Clutcher joining the stream. That is absolutely one of the highest honors any streamer could have. But let's go check out the match. It's already started. So we've got Cantor back. Gergely Cantor, one thing about him that you should know is that he's a very strong player, very much like Camel Clutcher. In fact, they're both titled players. They're both masters in their own right. The similarities might stop there. I'm just kidding. But yeah, Cantor, we watched go 4 for 4 in the previous matchup against University of Virginia. So this is not the first time Cantor's played two matches in the same day. No shout out to Physic. I'm so sorry, Physic. Physic is back to back, first in chat, absolute legend. He tuned in early and he's tuning in late. So what more can I say? Physic is there whenever you need him. And really, you could say that you need him all the time. Huge presence in the chat and very much appreciated. Check and mate. That's right, Camel. Okay. So we've got three other matches going on. This is the top board from Dallas, Cantor. He's playing against Chess Funmaker. And that is Volodymyr. So we'll have to swap Volodymyr's name real quick. Just making sure I have the right board order for these players. Newt has a flute with a follow. Thank you. Hello. You're looking forward to learning. That's great. We can learn together. We've got Yer Parkov. He also had a really good match against Virginia, going 3 out of 4, only losing in the last round against Joseph Levine, the board 2 from Virginia. Here, Yer is still board 2 for Dallas, and he's playing up against Case. That is Martin Kravtsev. So I might actually have the wrong order for the Dallas players. So let's see. Yeah, actually, they've got Nakachuk as board 2 here. So Nakachuk, not Nakamura, and what was I gonna say? Ivanchuk? I don't know. Nakachuk sounds like a mixture of two players. Oh, in the Cantor game? Why is black better? Honestly, it's a great question. So black has a very slight edge according to that magical eval bar, even though white hasn't castled yet. And black has a slight space advantage in the center. So what could it possibly be? Could it be that the queen is going to get hit on the open c file? Is that white hasn't castled yet? Maybe it's because this bishop is bad? I don't know. So knight here hits this bishop. Bishop e6 to save itself. Knight here is a potential fork, but the bishop can trade off with check. Queen takes is going to be there. So bishop b6, castles, and now takes. And it likes rook b8. So yeah, maybe just the space and the bad bishop here. But okay, now it's saying queen b4. Queen b4 is like the only move. Well, it makes sense because your knight's trapped otherwise. The real M. Kiva, what's up, Jorge? From the comfort of your bed, Newt has a flute, has the right idea as well. All right, now it's more or less equalized, I guess, but the computer really liked rook b8, and I guess it's to control b4. So this knight was maybe close to trapped, actually, which is important when you're deciding who's actually better in a position. If one of your pieces is trapped, That's probably not good. But queen b6 was probably a misplay from Cantor, which allowed for queen to b4. So the knight is getting slightly bailed out. Computer didn't like this so much, because it liked rook a8. Huge difference there. Very important detail. But yeah, I was just looking at Nakachuk's game. I was about to swap him out for Yer. So Yer got knocked down a board order. So yeah, Nakachuk was on board 4, actually. So let's shift him up. So yeah, that makes sense, I guess. Let's check in with Case. I have an interesting case. Okay, so black messed up here somehow. So here they should have kept the queens on the board, it's saying. Knight here allowed for the queens to trade. Yeah, this is a pretty sad position for these pieces back here. So black is very much in the driver's seat, up an extra pawn, and it's a passed pawn at that, and potentially even going to be a connected passed pawn, which is quite valuable. So this is the Mozesov. This is Daniel. Board 2 for Lviv, which also might not be in the right order. So yeah, I'm still trying to fix all of this. All right. Case 2985 Grandmaster. This is Martin Krovtsev. And look at this knight. No fear. Going into e6. And the idea is if the pawn takes, and now this knight gets pinned. Uncle Jesse with a 7-stream streak. That's basically a week, but because of how few times I stream, it's probably more like half a year. So major congratulations to Uncle Jesse. Okay, queen gets out of the way. The knight is not captured, and so now the knight probably will take the bishop. Otherwise, it's under attack by the pawn. So we'll be seeing that knight make some move, some hop somewhere. GM Thunderbolt. Actually, it might be Aditya in the #1 spot, actually. Wow, so Yer gets knocked all the way down, actually, to board 4. Man, I really messed this up. I guess. I don't know. Thunderbolt. This is the only player playing here over 3,000 rated, which is pretty good. Thunderbolts. That is Aditya Samant playing against Flown Man. That's Dmitro Beletsky. So, yeah, and here Cantor is just crushing now. So, yep, trade, queen trade. Knight here. The move is queen d6, not played. Queen needed to go to d6. That was missed. Queen here instead. And there goes the knight on e2. So, yeah. So that's just a piece advantage for Cantor. And less than 10 seconds. The chess fun maker, Volodymyr Medvedik, just wrapping things up here. This is going to be resigns. Yep. So that's the first point in favor of Dallas. Here we've got another time scramble. Daniel down to their last 13 seconds. So Nakachuk is looking good. This is Raul Petty. Four seconds for Daniel. But Daniel, let's see. Yeah, that last pawn grab evens up the material, and the time difference is huge. Bishop here looking to trade off this bishop. This bishop is a very important defender of f2. So here we have 1 second now. Got to move. Rook putting extra pressure, saving itself from the knight. So 3 seconds. We could take here, but then the knight can come out. But we also don't really want this trade. Knight grabs a pawn, which makes sense, but allows for the bishop to take. Rook stays on. So black is down material. Rook in, threatening the one and only check. Actually, that's not true. First, I was going to say checkmate, but it's not because king h2. But also there's a check on f4, but it's not good. Knight here hits the rook and saves the pawn and reroutes to the center. So very well played here by white. Now 2-pawn advantage. Rook gets hit, and watch out for this check, but the knight's here. Knight comes back, pressure on the f-pawn. There goes this pawn. There goes that pawn. And this pawn's going to drop as well. Knight takes. So just like that, black wins a pawn, bringing it back. It's pretty close. 1 pawn advantage still for white, but the time pressure is going to be a big problem. Okay, there's a check. The c pawn is hanging. Don't take here because you're going to get forked, so we might see a perpetual, but the king steps to f1, dropping the g pawn with check. So now it's back to even Steven, but white gets 1 pawn, so the c pawn is the only difference here. This king is cut off by the rook. Black is really fighting, keeping it close, but white's also fighting, looking to get a 2-pawn advantage. The c pawn is hit by the knight. So if you take the a pawn, the c pawn falls with check. However, the a pawn might be more valuable as it's on the outside and it's farther pushed. And now it's under attack. So the knight steps back to b3, holding on to that a pawn, not giving up the c pawn. So if you could win both, if you could have 2-pawn advantage, that's better than having a 1-pawn advantage. So white's going to keep as much material on the board. Now the knight's here. Watch out for a sneaky checkmate pattern. But now that the c pawn isn't attacked, okay, we're going to have a perpetual here. No, king runs away. Now this king is entering. There's a potential knight d2 check. Okay, now it's 2 pawns to nothing. Check, knight block. That's leaving you. Watch out for this back rank mate, by the way. King is stepping aside, and now this knight is pinned. This king will probably have to move. But you don't want to go here because you're going to get forked here. So the king goes here, and now you can maybe push your pawn. No, the computer likes king c1. That's the winning move. And he's got a minute to find it, Raul. Oh, he pushes the pawn, but that was a mistake. And now, is it a perpetual? Whoa, king here. Check. King up. Pawn push again. Rook back to save it. I would go here to save the pawn, but then the king could try to checkmate us again. Martin gets a point for Lviv. Knight does go to b5. Black does threaten checkmate, and now the rook sacrifice. Oh, and the fork. That's beautiful. Nicely done there from Raul, taking down Daniel. So Dallas, they have a 1-point lead, and they're looking to add on to it here, and they do. Resignation. Top board versus board 4. That's going to be the biggest mismatch of the day. So Aditya Samant And this is how the match against Virginia started. 1 point for Lviv State. Dmitro Beletsky, 25-85 on board 4. And the only non-titled player in this match. So, yeah, and Martin, only Grandmaster from Lviv State, getting the job done here. Yeah, picking up that. So didn't take the bishop. Instead went for the exchange. And here we go. Board 4 now for Lviv up against the board 2 from Dallas. Gergely Cantor, who has been flawless so far today. Maybe won't be beat, but we'll see. It's going to be Grandmaster versus Grandmaster matchup in round 3 after this. So, yeah, Cantor is not even board 1 by rating. He's board 2 for Dallas now. But we do have a Grandmaster versus Grandmaster matchup here. So Nakachuk, who's been doing well, now up against Martin. So Martin got the only point for Lviv, and they're going to look to him to carry this team today. So very important that he gets those points early, because as the rounds go on, his opponents will get harder and harder. Shout out to White Noise for 6 months. A 6-month sub, huge. And they've been sub for 79 months. That's like at least 2 years, which is a long time. Shout out to White Noise. I saw White Noise said hi to me in the St. Louis Chess Club channel, but I missed it. I was not ignoring it. And you know that St. Louis Chess Club stream, it's on a break right now. But probably at the end of this, we'll raid them again, because they're covering a very important college chess match, the U.S. College Championship match, also known as the President's Cup. Not to be called the Final Four, as there's another college championship tournament that uses that name, which may or may not be going on currently in the month of March. Some would call it Madness. Not to be confused with Chess Madness, which is what the College Ambassador program is running. Honestly, I think the NCAA just doesn't like chess. I think that's what we're getting to. Anyways, White castles queenside, and Black says, yummy pawn on f3. I'll take that. But the computer says that was a mistake, because it really likes to move bishop back to e2. And the idea is that this knight is overextended, and after the knight goes back to e5, we're going to play f4, hitting that knight again. And all of these knight moves are adding up to being behind in development, and this king cannot castle neither here nor there. Okay, so the knight goes to h4, saying you will not tempo me with the pawn. But what the knight doesn't know is that it can be tempoed by pawn to e5, which is kind of a fun move, because this knight's pinned. And the queen hits the knight, but the queen is also defended. But there's going to be some problems. So first and foremost, if the pawn takes, we actually can hit Black with rook takes d7, sacrificing the rook, because the queen is overloaded. The queen is defending both knights, but can only be on one square at a time. So rook takes, if queen takes, then queen takes knight. So we don't see this capture. Instead, we see the knight hopping back to g6. So how many knight moves has this been? 1, 2, 3, 4 in a row? I mean, that's a lot of moves for one knight. Nakachuk working on their knight moves, clearly. Was it, maybe it was more than that. I mean, you count this knight as well? Both knights. Anyhow. Okay. Bishop e7. So the knight moves come to an end. A streak of 4. And now the bishop joins in on the action that black king is ready to castle out of the center. And every white piece is moved. And this bishop now, if knight e5, probably the bishop's going to tuck back. Oh, wow. Actually, so there's a sacrifice here. Knight e5, very logical move. Defending the knight and attacking the bishop. The next follow-up move was supposed to be bishop f4. This was the move, they say. It also liked bishop d4. But bishop f4, if there was knight takes, then there'd be bishop takes d6, which is just crushing. Instead, we see knight here, and now black can castle. So, yeah, the computer really liked bishop f4. If castles then you could probably just win the game somehow. It's that simple, probably. Who knows? I certainly wouldn't know. Anyways. Black does get castled, but look at this open G file. Look at this king. Look at this bishop. Oh my goodness. It's beautiful. Have you seen a piece so beautiful? Anyways. Yeah, this is looking like a very nice win here from Martin. Playing up against Raul. So the knight gives a check, reroutes to f5, gives up a pawn with check here, and now rook takes. Yum. Love that. Okay, so 1 point lead for Martin, but it's a knight versus 2 pawns. And now queen here hits the knight, so the pawn is unpinned, but the rook steps over, and Nakachuk has had enough. Okay, and Cantor draws, so his first non-win. So he messed up, clearly, somehow. So, let's see. Yeah, he just accepts the draw there. So let's give Martin his second point of the day. So it takes... Okay, he just sacks his piece here. All right, so that's a good result for Lviv, actually. Because that's their board 4. And that's Cantor. And Cantor hasn't been beat. He's been unbeatable. He was 5 for 5 today going into that game. So he gets slowed down a little bit. Still unbeaten, but a draw. And that could give Lviv perhaps an opportunity to get back in this game. They're only down by 1 now. 2 games remaining here in round 2. So we've got Aditya looking good here on board 1 against the chess fun maker. This is the board 4 or board 3. Volodymyr Medvedev, FIDE master from Lviv. All right, this pawn is hanging, but for whatever reason, white didn't want to take. So just h3. King steps aside, and now knight to g5. So that's what white wanted. And queen here comes with a mate threat, but this pawn push will defend and attack the queen. But still, pawn pushes can be weakening. This pawn hasn't moved yet. This pawn is not being taken. The pawn on c3 is too important. Bishop here now asking the knight an important question. And the knight can be defended. We can follow up still with queen h5. Perhaps the original plan. Threatening checkmate in 1, defending the knight. Bishop just takes the knight, so not inducing a pawn push. That bishop is given up, and now Aditya is left with the bishop pair, and we see that bishop develop now opposite this rook, threatening to push, which would attack both the knight and the rook. Nice move there. So we'll see what black comes up with. Rook f6 lifts, looking to get opposite the king. Queen here, just looking at that back rank. Rook here, breaking that diagonal for the queen. And like we said, lining up here. Rook here, so the bishop's defending the pawn now. This pawn might push, but d3. Clamping down on that d2 pawn. Quite annoying. And this bishop, I mean, you've got connect 4 going on here, but where's the bishop going to go? One of these 3 pawns will have to be pushed because this one's not going anywhere anytime soon. So the queen steps back. We've got these pawns connected. This queen is opened up now. It's also cutting this queen off from going here. Both players less than a minute. King steps off the g file. Let's check in with the other board we haven't looked at yet in a while. So we've got Yerparkov versus Daniel. It's queen, rook, and pawn endgame. And isolated f pawns here, doubled up, but a weak back rank for black that's holding on to this for the time being. Rook to e8, getting that last pair of rooks off the board. So Daniel is up a pawn, which is pretty important in these endgames, and up a bit on time. So now you can just take that rook, queen takes. You could play something like queen e6, or you can bring the king into the equation. Pretty important. Both sides less than 30 seconds. Let's keep an eye on this board here. It's a little bit more complicated. So they've traded off queens. And now the pawns are pushed. So this bishop is there. Oh, rook pinning and winning. That's a free piece, my friends. And it's pinned. There's nothing that black can do. So they're going all out here with this sacrifice. Watch out for bishop takes g2. I guess there's king takes, but I mean, can't we just take on f8? Bishop takes. Isn't that going to be fine? Once, oh, king is here now, actually. But, oh, you still can, oh, doubling. That's going to do it. That's going to do it. Free piece. Thank you very much. Taking here with check and taking the bishop. You're taking it all. And that's going to be resigns. There you have it. +1 elo on top for the cherry. So Thunderbolt, Aditya Samant, also 2 for 2. And that leaves us with Daniel versus Yer. And looks like white has made a second queen. So it pays to have extra pawns because they can become queens. And just like that, there's a couple checks looking for a perpetual, but you're not going to find it. There's queen check here. This king is finding more and more shelter, and that's where the checks run out, and mate is unavoidable. So Daniel taking down Yer. Yer, I think, losing back-to-back games. So it's still a 1-point match. So Dallas starting the match off strong, 3-1, 2-point lead. Lviv answering right back here in round 2. Brings it back within 1. So very much in distance. Yeah, great game there from Daniel. And also Flowin' Man, that's Dmitro Beletsky getting a draw against Gergely Cantor. Definitely a huge part of that round for Lviv. All right, we've got an English opening here from Aditya Samant. Now up against Daniel. So Daniel just got a big point against Yerparkov. Can Daniel also take him down? Aditya, the top board. That's actually, I don't think that's how that worked. Who did Parkov must have played. Did he play Daniel? Because now Daniel's playing against the board. That's actually crazy. I didn't realize the board 2 goes from playing board 4 to playing board 1 between rounds 2 and 3. That's kind of tough. So he beats the lowest rated player. Now to be rewarded, he's playing the top rated player. But Daniel is an international master. He just took down a grandmaster, Yuri Parkov. Now he's got another grandmaster. Actually, every single Dallas player is a grandmaster. Yeah. So, wait. Yeah. It's an all GM squad. All right. Yeah, queen to c8 idea of preventing white from castling. So that's kind of annoying. Let's check in with this is really the big matchup here that we got to watch. So Cantor versus Kratsev. We've got a Joko piano. Yeah, this d-pawn gets taken. G4 with the fork. Queen sack. Bishop takes. There's knight h2, which is honestly just ridiculous. So there's rook takes, rook with check, queen takes, and if bishop takes, knight g4. Knight h2 is found, so both queens are hanging because of rook takes e1. But yeah, that's just a rook trade, and that is the best move from Martin. So black is a little bit better in position, I would say. Because their king is much safer and their rooks are activated. And yeah, I mean, black has this really strong grip against the king. But the computer says white's fine. Just trade rooks here. Rook takes, rook takes. And then you just play knight f3, which guards the back rank and helps keep your king safe. So we'll see Cantor. Cantor trades one pair of rooks. And honestly, moving this knight helps open up for the bishop as well, which is very important. And that's going to help protect your back rank a little bit more. So, yeah. There's an idea h6 just to play g5, g4. And that idea is coming from me. I wanted to play g5, but then I think just bishop takes is probably fine. Or I don't know if it's crazy to do knight takes g5, but maybe. Actually, there'd be bishop takes. Actually, that's the huge threat right now. I'm realizing it now. h6 is very important to prevent knight g5 fork. So right now, bishop takes f. So no tactics to be fallen for here. Martin, technically the higher rated player, 2995. Looking to get past 3,000 here, perhaps with a win, which would be pretty cool. So h6, a defensive move from black, but very important to not fall for these tactics. And now that gives white an opportunity to develop their last minor piece and help open up the rook. So now queen f1. If you trade queens, you don't have to take back with the knight. You could take with the rook with a tempo, getting that rook all the way from the corner into the game, which is pretty helpful. Bishop here also with a tempo against the pawn. Not sure if white wants to go for that. So yeah, the difference right now, it's 3 pawns basically versus a bishop, and the light square bishop specifically. So all 4 knights are still on the board. This rook lifts with a tempo on this bishop. We could see queen f1, I think. The idea is if queen takes, rook takes, if they take our bishop, we can take their bishop. But white says, I'll go ahead and take that free pawn. Welcome, Stream Elements. I thought I've been live for a while, but maybe not. Anyways, free pawn grabbed. Knight here. So there's some problems, folks. Queen c2 is a fork, but also you can take on c4, takes, and you have queen e2 as well. Also, I feel like bishop c2 seems really strong. I guess you're getting forked here, sadly. But yeah, Martin, this is kind of a blunder. This is a huge opportunity for Cantor. This should be way too easy. Yeah, I mean, that's just, I don't know. There's no knight move, really. If black's trying to defend the rook and attack the bishop, the problem is this bishop is boxing the knight out backwards, which is really beautiful, actually. Rook is hanging and bishop is hanging. That is just a classic fork. And Cantor is going to win this game. Yair Parkov bounces back with a win against the chess fun maker. So that is Volodymyr. So this was perhaps an opening gone wrong. Yeah, gives up the rook in the corner, but here that's a free piece with check. And yeah, that's gonna do it. So well done there from Yair. Okay, let's check in with Nakachuk. He looks like he's doing quite well. And he is. And he's got a huge time advantage, 4 minutes to 1 minute. So let's give Yair his first point of the match. He went from 3 out of 4 against Virginia to now 1 out of 3 against Lviv. But that 1 point is really big. It adds on to Dallas's lead. They're up by 2 now. And they're looking to add on to it here with Raul up against the board 4 Dimitro. And let's check in with Dallas's top board up against Daniel. This is looking like a closer match. It's an even material, but this white king has a lot of extra space here. But black has the outside pass pawn that they're currently working towards making right now. So yeah, I think overall this is going to probably be a draw, but both players are getting low on time, so you never know what will happen. And yeah, here Martin should be folding any moment now. Oh, wow, white's just up 2 knights against 2 pawns, so that's a lot of material. But yeah, after the rook comes up, there's just a lot of forking opportunities here. So we see the knight hopping into d4, rook takes bishop, queen takes bishop, check, king up, queen snags a pawn, defending the b pawn as well. There's really no breaking through here. So also, it's important to be on this diagonal, I think, because there's always a sacrifice potential. Knight takes, queen check. You got to block with something. Maybe there's a perpetual. So queen taking b7 is a very nice move, just grabbing a pawn, defending the b pawn, and defending the king diagonal. Here we see the knight move, and Yeah, rook takes is devastating. Pawn is pinned and defended. So we see resignation there. Nice knockout punch from Cantor. So Dallas really adding on to their lead here. Cantor now 2.5 out of 3. Here we've got Daniel trying to hold his own against Aditya. Both players around 30 seconds. I don't see either side really making progress. Black has the outside pass pawn, but this rook is right there in time, preventing it from pushing. Daniel bringing the king up. This could be kind of dangerous. It could backfire, but looking to make progress somehow, putting extra pressure on g4. So really forcing White's hand to either trade or come back defensively. So they end up trading and coming back defensively, but now Black is able to find a perpetual. So that was a quick and easy way to do it. Okay. But yeah, I was going to say the H-pawn was isolated for White there. So maybe somehow Black could have made progress, but no. Still, I think a good result for Daniel. Getting a draw against the top board from Dallas. So both the top 2 boards from Dallas are 2.5 out of 3, which is pretty good. And their bottom 2 boards each have a 1 point. So here we've got the board 4 from Lviv up against Grandmaster Raul Petty, Nakachuk. And this is looking very much in Dallas's favor. Black is just simply up a bishop. And not really for much compensation. White has these 2 connected pass pawns on the outside, but this bishop on the dark diagonal just really halting these pawns from making any progress. So rook here, kind of a potential to sack itself just to get these pawns rolling. The bishop really just not even allowing the opportunity. So rook is going to just keep hitting that bishop. Why not? See what happens. I have a feeling, though, that you could have allowed the sacrifice. Nope, absolutely not. So yeah, these 2 pawns are very valuable. So it was definitely good to save the bishop. Okay, bishop to a7. The d pawn is hit. So yeah, not giving up just yet. Rook down, there's bishop here. Or so I thought. Bishop here, maybe there's pawn push. Ooh. Computer really liked king b3 instead of pushing the pawn. So you push the pawn, but now your pawn might get caught. Or your pawn will get caught, rather. King takes, yeah. Raul having to be tested a little bit here. White's fighting, trying to give their opponent opportunities to make mistakes, but Raul hasn't fallen for it yet, but now is under a minute as well. So honestly, all you have to do is trade off the pawns and the rook, and then it's a draw. Really easy, right? Easier said than done, perhaps. But Raul's giving a lot of this time back. Look at that. Under 30 seconds now. Raul's frozen. Raul's thinking, how do I make progress? So, okay, first off, rook to the open file. King stepping up, trying to push b6. But maybe now there's king c5. But then there'd be rook check. Wow, and this is the blunder. b6. b6, and now it's equality. Oh my goodness, all of that extra time thought And for what? Now the move b7. b7 was winning for whites. Down a piece. Oh, and now giving up a bishop. Yeah, if you had pushed b7, guess what? The bishop couldn't take it. Now you're just down a pawn. You were down a piece, but you were winning. Oh, and now a7 wins. Oh my goodness. Ladies and gentlemen, we just witnessed a grandmaster choke to a non-titled player. The board for Dimitro, bringing this match back. And now the move rook a5 and white queens. The power of the pawns. This is unbelievable. King is absolutely sheltered, and we see resigns. Holy smokes, from down a piece. He got outplayed from down a piece. That's crazy. So where did that piece go? Takes here. Trades queens. So, wait. That was crazy though. So 5-7. Still very much I'm like so confused. Okay, rook takes, takes here, takes. So Nakachuk won a pawn. Oh, wait, so takes here. So opposite color bishops. Takes, okay. So this pawn gets through, gives up the bishop, but look at this. Yeah, he's just attacking this bishop. He gets another pawn. Misplayed that a little bit. But yeah, here it's a draw. But then he allowed, this move was bad. So here he needs to play king up to d6, or he needs to keep pushing the h-pawn, or even king f6. Here, blunder, a7 now. So, yeah. Crazy stuff. Crazy. All right. Round 4. Can Lviv bring it back? They're down by 2. The same deficit after round 1. So Lviv has kept it close in the last 2 rounds. What's up, Luke? Good to see you. Much love. This is the last match for today that we'll be watching. And then I got to figure out what I want to do with my Saturday. We'll probably watch round 2 of the President's Cup. And we'll send you all there. But for now, Dallas has a match to clinch. They're 1.5 points away. But Lviv could tie it up. They need 3 points out of 4 to get to 8 points and force overtime. So right now we've got our eyes set on the top boards. Thunderbolt. This is Aditya Samant, board 1. Hasn't been beat yet. 2.5 out of 3. Has the black pieces. And Martin Kravtsev. Very strong player. Lost at the hands of Gergely Cantor, who is playing Daniel, who's been doing pretty well today. 1.5 out of 3. Beating Yair Parkov. And getting a draw against Aditya Samant, I believe. Shout out to Chuck. Good to see you. All right. Wow, Daniel has an advantage, but they threw it all away just there. The move was queen h5, hitting the knight. Very passive move here, a3. All right, queen h5 is played now. So it's saying it's +1 for white, which is pretty good. That means if white plays perfectly like an engine, they should win at least the pawn, which is very huge. So much. Okay, here it's saying the best move is g5, but I suspect that will not be played. In fact, it was not played. And now, eval bar slowly creeping up even further. Now saying knight f3, very logical. Bringing that piece off the back rank, opening up for the rook. Yeah, very, very fun game here. And black is just behind in development. Look at these pieces back there. They got to go somewhere. Black should trade queens. Question to the queen. Queen should go to h2. And now this bishop can come in. Where else would the queen go? Maybe to d5. Queen d5 looks logical. Queen d5, maybe there's queen d8. Maybe. Two and a half minutes for Daniel. Down a minute on the clock. So yeah, I fully suspect Dallas should be able to clinch this match out here. They've been the favorite for quite some time, but Lviv done a great job to just keep themselves in the match, right? And to just give themselves a chance. And this is exactly what they have here, an opportunity to pull off an upset, you know, get some lucky points their way. Yer hasn't been doing particularly well so far in this match, has lost 2 of their games. And Flown Man, Dimitro, pulling off a huge upset in that previous round against Raul. So Dimitro has 1.5 out of 3. And this game is looking pretty even. In fact, Dimitro is up a minute on the clock, which is pretty good. I do like this bishop, though, but black still has their bishop to come back and trade off if they need. Oh, and a piece sacrifice here? No, just a trade. All right. So yeah, this is an outside pass pawn, but it's also isolated. Bishop hitting the rook. Rook is going to move somewhere. You could see that traded off. Let's check in with Raul. Raul's got a massive time advantage, but oh my goodness, ladies and gentlemen. This position. What's going on, Raul? Raul, this is the 4th round. This is no time to throw. So what's going on? Pawn push in the center. Black is just, they've connected their rooks. There's a pawn. But yeah, this bishop on the dark square. Knight here. Why wouldn't you play knight d4 though? You hit the rook, I guess. You hit the other rook. But now, I mean, look at how sad your pieces are. This is terrifying. Oh my goodness, this is terrifying. Rook lift. Chess fun maker. Wow. Saxon exchange. King up. Still, this is completely winning. But I'm very impressed to see how this is going to play out. King g1, best move. Knight takes a pawn, pawn takes pawn. There's a knight check. There's also bishop takes f4. So 3 points of material for Nakachuk. Okay, now only 2 points. Bishop is hitting the rook with any discoveries. This pawn is hanging. This knight check, and there's going to be a mate, actually. There will be a mate. So bishop e3 check. That's check number 1. Guess what? King has 1 legal move. King here, and now knight here. This is the combo. And Chess Fun Maker gets the first point that Lviv needs for their comeback. Let's check back in with the top boards. Wow, Volodymyr has 0 points so far, but they get 1 point at a very important time. Right there against Raul. So Lviv only down by 1. This is a 1-point match right here. This game is looking dead even. Draws are not going to be good enough for Lviv. UT Dallas could draw their way to victory if they want to. Let's check in with Cantor. This is going to be a huge point for Dallas if they can get it. But looks like Daniel's been actually leading this match. He did play queen back down to h2. Oh my goodness. So rook f1 is going to be really nice. Rook went to the e file for a moment. Knight comes back. Look at this. Trying to deflect the queen from defending the f6 bishop. So queen steps here. Knight hits the queen. Now that bishop does get traded off. There's got to be knight takes. Knight takes, bishop takes. So bishop pair for Daniel. And no dark square bishop for black. Slight time edge for Cantor. Looking to trade queens. Rook f1, hitting the queen. Sorry, looking to trade rooks. This queen's got to get out somewhere, somehow. This bishop's coming here. So the queen has to not stay on this diagonal and not stay on the file. So queen goes here. Now if bishop check, there's bishop block. Queen steps up on the dark squares. But the check was not given. That was the best move. I think bishop check, bishop back, and then bishop to e4. Now this pawn is hanging. Watch out for this fork somewhere down the road. Yeah, it's mostly the same schools. It might be the same exact as last season, actually. We have 5 of the 6 scholarship teams. Bishop e4 is played. Slight pressure on g6. This bishop probably wants to go to f6. Pressure on the knight and creating space for the queen, most importantly. Bishop e2, that's a nice, annoying move. Hits the rook and the pawn. But I think there might be a way... Okay, bishop f6, yeah? Whoa, there was knight takes c4 apparently. I did not get that. Okay. What if rook f4? Yeah, hit that bishop. The bishop is defending the h-pawn, by the way, because the g-pawn is pinned to the king. So queen steps here, but now what's the move? Bishop takes d4. Oh, Daniel's going to take down Cantor. Guys, Lviv might win this. From down 2 points going into this last round. Bishop back. And Martin also is crushing. Oh my god. Oh my goodness. This is going to be the match. Queen takes d4. No, I'm confused, but Thunderbolt has 4 seconds. Yeah, and this Cantor game is also going to be wrapping up here soon. I mean, this isn't even close anymore. They traded queens off. I mean, the bishop pair, guys. Look at this. This knight on the corner is so sad. Pawn push. The knight's coming out. Ooh. Takes here, though. Trade. Takes here. This pawn's going to be a goner. Push this pawn. Oh. I mean, okay. There could have been a cleaner knockout, I guess, but these pawns are pushing. Both sides less than 10 seconds. Yer and Flown. Okay, Yer is winning. That is very important. there's going to be a mate here very quickly. Check. A little ring around the rosy action here. Yeah, can't go here, though, is the thing. 10 seconds. Okay, Martin won his game on board 1. So it's a tied game, guys. It's tied. So, okay, check, queen block. Yer has to win this. Up a piece. And this game, Daniel's winning. So we're going to see overtime, actually. 1 second for Cantor. He played that with 0.2 seconds down on the clock. But these pawns are rolling. Threat is to take the knight. King just keeps walking on up. Knight is hit. Pawns can push. Yeah, why not play just b7? Yeah, this is GG. So yeah, Yer won and Daniel won. So Daniel taking down Cantor and Yer keeping his team in it. Yer's the only Dallas player to get a point. So it's going to overtime, folks. Lviv State taking UT Dallas to overtime. But will it be for nothing? Where is Lviv? It's in Ukraine. So here we go. Overtime. Instead of 5+2, it is now 3+2. So even faster time control. If it's still tied, they're going to go to 1+2. Yeah, maybe I'm saying it funny. Maybe it's Lviv. I've been saying Lviv. Lviv. I'm not sure. But yes, you can see their Ukrainian flags. All right. So Dallas brought to the brink. They have lost a match so far this season, but only one at the hands of the other international top division team, SRM, Institute of Science and Technology, which is in India. So clearly, the UT Dallas team, they're struggling against the international teams. So here we go. Lviv, what a round 4. Getting 3 out of 4. So yeah, dead even, 8-8. But Dallas, they have a second chance to redeem themselves and win the match. But also, Lviv, they have all the momentum. They just won 3 out of 4. And now they've given themselves a wonderful opportunity to clinch the match out with a dub, a huge upset. If they can do it. But the answer, we'll find out in just a few minutes. Can Dallas compose themselves? Now that they saw how that 4th round went, maybe they'll take it to another gear. Also, the colors swap. So now, Cantor, who lost with the black pieces, has the white pieces. And this could be very important. So, we'll see. Yeah, honestly, it's here, Nakachuk and Volodymyr. Volodymyr had a really crushing win, it seemed. And now Volodymyr has the white pieces too. So Nakachuk was like flying on the clock, but it wasn't good enough against Volodymyr. So maybe Nakachuk will play a little bit more calmly. Or maybe use some more of their time, I say, as he's added time to his clock and his opponent is now under 2 minutes. So where shall we stay? Here, also, this is where Dallas got their only point. the board 4 mismatch here. Yerparkov versus Dimitro. But Dimitro has white now. Yeah, I think we'll watch this top board for a little bit, and then we'll tune in with Cantor. Cantor always has the very exciting games. So here it's Martin again, now with the black pieces. Top board from Lviv, trying to keep his team in it. He's gotten 3 out of 4 points. I think only losing to Cantor, which is pretty good. 1.5 minutes on the clock. 2 minutes for Aditya. Pawn takes in the center here, hitting the knight. Knight saves itself, hits the queen. Queen tucks back, and that's an exchange here. So white got a good move in here. The rook was not saved. So Aditya hasn't taken the knight just yet for whatever reason. Or taken the rook. Don't listen to what I say. Listen to what I mean. Why would you not take the rook here? Okay, there it goes. I don't know why it took so long. Can anyone explain? Okay, so it's a pawn for an exchange. We have an imbalance. This is in favor of Dallas here. Let's check in with Cantor. Cantor under a minute with the white pieces. Queen stepping up. Pressure on that E pawn. So what do we do about that? Computer says ignore it. Knight d6. Give it up. With check even. Oh my goodness, he's done that. He doesn't even take it. This is ridiculous. These guys are on another level. I'm telling you. He doesn't want to open that file for the rook, I guess. I don't know. I don't understand. This is why these guys are titled and I'm not. I'm like, free pawn with check. I got to defend that at all costs. This guy's like, go ahead, take it. Ignore it. This guy doesn't even want it. All right, bishop comes up. Pressure on the knight. Maybe looking to drop in to e5. Black can push e5, and they do. Who's in the lead? Dallas is in the lead. They're the #1 team. That's a good answer, AJ. When you find a good move, look for better. Both these players now, under a minute. There's a capture on e5. Knight takes. White's thinking about taking it. Interestingly, the pawn structure is the same for both sides on the king side, but I feel that this king is a lot safer than this king. Because I feel like this diagonal is much more accessible. It's because this king's probably in the corner. This king is here. So these pawns are kind of in the way of the bishop a little bit. Bishop takes, hits the queen. Black is deciding how to take back. With the rook or with the queen. Do you offer a queen trade? No. Rook hits the queen. Queen pinning the rook to the queen. Rook putting some pressure on the bishop, but defended by the knight. This knight is pinned, but you could see knight coming back, but maybe a rook sack here. Rook's doubled up on the bishop now, so the bishop takes the main diagonal. Knight hopping in, looking to activate this bishop if we trade. This could simplify down. It does. There's a check, but no, there's a queen trade, then a check, rook lift to block and defend the pawn. Black can also get to the second rank. So this is a dead even rook and pawn endgame. Slight space advantage for whites with the pawns, but the king is more centralized for black. Rook stays on the board. There's a check. King steps aside, and now this king can enter. Stays on the king side. Let's see. Okay, Nakachuk gets their revenge. against Volodymyr. So that's a huge point. Let's back up to the top boards, and this is looking good for Dallas, but very low on the time. So Raul gets a very much needed point from Dallas. And here, knight takes g5 is a winning shot for white, but that's so hard to find. I couldn't even explain it. White misses it, and now black's back in it. Both sides less than 10 seconds. Bishop sack takes. Knight takes, and now there's bishop takes, and this is completely winning for black. Doesn't take another check. I mean, that's a ridiculous check. Oh my god, rook f7. Wait, he didn't do it. Now he does it, but it's too late. Pawn push. Don't take because the queen comes in. Rook takes with check. Ladies and gentlemen, I have zero idea of what's going on. Down to 1 second. Pawn takes. White's winning now. Queen check. Knight check. And there goes the bishop with check. And now a queen is entering. Oh my word. What a huge turnaround here. Check. Why not make a queen, huh? There it is. Okay, JoeBruin with the bottom board. But this is going to be a win for Dallas. So let's get the board 4 draws on the board. That brings Dallas 1 point within winning. And yeah, Thunderbolt wins. And this is a win for Cantor as well. So Dallas gets the job done in the end. Holy smokes. Lviv tried their best, and they brought it to overtime. But then the cookie crumbled. Dallas held on. This is nice. Very nice technique here. Force the rook off the f-file so you bring the king in to win the pawn. That way you're not just trading pawns. If you take, then rook takes. So a 2-pawn advantage is much better than a 1-pawn advantage. Now rook taking the 3rd rank so the king can step out of the way of the pawns. The pawns are pushing now. There's a check. Force the king back. Pawn push, giving the space for the king. King decides to go up. Pawn push here. King stepping up with the pawn. King here ready to check and force the king to the back rank. And now the king will step over. Pawn push threatens mate on the back rank. So the king steps back, but now the 2nd pawn. No, the king's going this way. And now there's going to be rook check. Probably rook check here, right? No? Rook down so the king can come back again, I guess. Now the 2nd pawn will enter. King in the corner. A waiting move. Pawn here. Okay. We've got a little bit of progress we still need to make. Rook's going to come here, maybe. Yes, rook f8. Oh! Make a knight. Nice. Oh my word. One last try at a stalemate. King here. Knight here forces the king out of the corner. And now black resigns. Cantor gets his revenge. And UT Dallas, they hold on. It was close. But in the end, Dallas gets the win. Overtime. Getting 3.5 out of 4. Winning the match 11.5 to 8.5. But a very valiant effort against Lviv. Not giving up in the end. Bringing Dallas to the distance. But not getting the job done ultimately in the end. So very fun match. Very close. Lviv saying they can hang with the best of them. So yeah, I'm not sure if they're in a playoff spot right now. They're probably not, but if they do make the playoffs, they can make a splash. And Also, getting 8.5 points is very, very important for their tie breaks as well. So it's a lot of points, especially against a very strong Dallas team. So Dallas has only been beat once so far out of 6 weeks. And we've got one final week to go. So be sure to tune in next weekend, same time on Saturday. It's always at 2 p.m. Eastern. This match was played a little bit late because these teams played 2 matches today because they rescheduled. So yeah, next weekend we should see how the playoff bracket will play out, because after next week the season standings will be finalized, and that's going to set up the playoff bracket. So thanks everyone for being here and for watching. I hope you all had a good time. Let's find a channel to raid. Probably will raid the St. Louis Chess Club because they're also watching college chess. They'll be watching the President's Cup, I believe, round 2, which started today. So let's go check that out. Yeah, they have the games about to begin. So we're right in time. All right, everyone. Thanks again for being here. You're all awesome and amazing, and I appreciate it. I hope to see you all next week, if not sooner. All right. Take care. Have a good one. Enjoy your weekend. Bye.